Yo, what's going on guys? My name is Brent and welcome to another LibGDX Toolbox tooltip. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to run and test your LibGDX game on an iOS emulator using RoboVM. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, stick with me. So a few things you're going to need for this tutorial is a Mac. We're going to be running Xcode for our emulator. So in order to run Xcode, you have to have a Mac. And then we're going to need a program called RoboVM. And RoboVM is what takes our Java code and compiles it into code that our iOS devices understand. So you can go to robovm.com, start a 30-day free trial. Now, RoboVM also offers lifetime licenses to indie developers for LibGDX who are working in teams of 3 or less. So I'll post a link to that in the description. So I'm going to create a new LibGDX project called iOS Demo. I've changed the package to brinarelli.iso demo, or iOS demo, sorry. Game class iOS demo. I set the destination folder to my desktop and I pointed it towards my Android SDK. These are all things you should be familiar with. If you're not, check out my other tutorials. I am going to target the desktop, Android, and iOS platforms, and the release of LibGDX I'm using is 1.7.0. I'm not going to use any extensions in this tutorial. Now, a few little things we have to do for pre-setup. I want you to go to Applications and find your Android Studios. Go ahead and right-click on it and show Package Contents. Go to Contents and Info Plist. This should open up Xcode to view it, rather. And then what I want you to do is go down to Java Virtual Machine Options. We need to click this. And so down here where you see JVM version, make sure that you have your Java Virtual Machine as 1.7 star. Okay, if you don't have Java Virtual Machine 1.7, by default, I think it comes with 1.6. You'll need to go ahead and download and install that and make sure you set Android Studio's default virtual machine to 1.7 star. Next, we're going to open up Android Studios. You'll click Open an Existing Android Studio project. We'll go to our desktop here in our project. We'll go ahead and let that completely load up. So once your project's open, let's go ahead and create a new configuration to test it on the desktop first. So we'll click this button, Add, and we'll go to Application. We're going to call this Desktop. We're going to set our main class to our desktop launcher. Oops, that was the iOS launcher. Set it to the desktop launcher. We'll set our working directory to the Android assets folder. Wow, I am just really not good at clicking today. We'll click choose here. We'll set our modules to the desktop and click apply and OK. So if you hit the run button with the desktop configuration selected, you should see a screen like this, which is basically the hello world of LibGDX games. So in order to test it on an iOS device, we need to install the RoboVM plugin for the IDEA or Android Studio platform. So go to Android Studios and Preferences. You'll select Plugins. You'll click on Browse Repositories. And up at the top here, you'll type in RoboVM. And you'll see the RoboVM IntelliJ IDEA plugin. Go ahead and install that. Yes. And we'll come back once it's installed. So once it's done, it's going to ask you to restart Android Studios. So I want you to go ahead and do that now. Now there is an error that could happen during this process. So you could come up with some kind of like fatal error and it won't actually turn on RoboVM. You'll need to evaluate whether or not you have Java Virtual Machine 7 installed. And if you don't, you need to change that also and change the files like I told you in the previous part of the tutorial. So go ahead and accept this license here, and then RoboVM will do some more installation. So we'll come back once that's done. So assuming everything installed correctly, you should see RoboVM up here in License Manager. I want you to go ahead and click that, and this is where you will put your license. Unfortunately, mine's already in there, and it would show you if I showed my license right here. So you'll just click License Manager and paste your license in and click Submit. So now what I want you to do is go ahead and select the device under configurations that you want to test your game on. So we're going to select iPhone 6s Plus and hit this green run button here, even though it's gray for me. I've already hit it because it's going to take up time to compile. Basically, what is going on is RoboVM is taking all the libraries that LibGDX uses and all your own source code and all the source code, or the libraries your source code uses, and compiling all that into Objective-C code that can be run on an iOS emulator. So it takes a little bit of time, especially on the first time, like upwards to close to 10 minutes. Subsequent times will be a little bit less. So wait, and it should pop up. So after it's done compiling, you should be able to see it right here in our simulator, and it'll look like it's Xcode pulled it up. Now you can change the hardware. I've changed it to the iPhone 6s because the Plus was a little misshapen on my screen. So there we go. We got our game running on the iOS device. Now, of course, this isn't the best way to test your games. You should probably be testing in the desktop environment because of how fast you can run and load it and stuff like that. Every time you make changes in your game, you would have to recompile everything for the iOS Objective-C code. So it just takes too long to do this. But this is a good way to finalize and make sure everything does look good on your game after you're done designing. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and post them below. I'm pretty good about getting back to everybody. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. But more importantly, please share the video. I'm trying to grow this channel, and you guys have been the biggest help in doing that. If you're feeling generous, check out my Patreon page. I'll give you 2 big thumbs up for that. I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.